Hello, thank you for joining me in my study. We've begun to reflect philosophically upon the doctrine of the atonement, particularly the doctrine of penal substitution. This is the doctrine that holds, as you may remember, that God inflicted upon Christ the suffering that we deserved as the punishment for our sins, thereby freeing us from our liability to punishment. Now, within the philosophy of law, the theory of punishment falls into two sections that are relevant to penal substitution. The first is the definition of punishment, and the second is the justification of punishment. Let's think first about the definition of punishment. According to a very common and popular theory of punishment today, punishment is not merely harsh treatment inflicted by an authority upon a person for violating a rule or a law. Rather, that punishment, in order to be punishment, must be accompanied by an attitude of censure or condemnation. Mere infraction of the rules is not sufficient for punishment because sports penalties, for example, are not usually thought of as punishment, even though they may be penalties. Similarly, fines that are imposed in civil law for violations of civil law are penalties, but some theorists would say they're not, strictly speaking, punishments, because punishments carry with them the stigma of condemnation or censure. And the claim here is that penal substitution is therefore impossible. God cannot punish Christ for our sins because Christ didn't commit those sins, and therefore there cannot be an attitude of censure or condemnation toward Christ. So even if God inflicted harsh treatment upon Christ, he could not be said to punish Christ for our sins because that harsh treatment is not accompanied by a stigma or attitude of condemnation or censure. This attack upon penal substitution is one that merits our attention and to which we will turn in our next time together.